I'm going to share with you 3 tips that will help anyone who's in the early years of their quiz or trivia journey to improve. The best advice I was ever given was in the queue for toilets at a Grand Prix event, and that person who gave me that advice was one of the greatest quizzes to have ever lived, Pat Gibson. Now, there's a temptation when you start to quiz that you think that you have to learn everything. You play a quiz and you watch brilliant quizzes, fetch out answers that you're superb, and you would want to be like them. But with everything in the universe up for grabs, where do you start? So here's what Pat told me. Learn the things that never change. Sounds simple, right? And here's the logic. Things that never change come up time and time again. Once you've learnt them, they become a steady supply of easy points. The highest mountains on each continent will always be the highest mountains. President Truman will never not have followed FDR as American president, and hydrogen will always be number 1 on the periodic table. Now, there might be additions from time to time, like new elements or new presidents, but it's easy to add these to your knowledge once you've got the other bases covered. I'd also say that you should learn the things that rarely change. Flags, national capitals, currencies, they do occasionally change, but just like the things that never change, those changes are easy to cover off. So here's your challenge. 1. Pick 4 subjects for the month ahead, 1 a week. 2. Make them on totally different topics. 3. Make them manageable lists, something that you can get your head around. He said lists. Can't believe he said lists. I'm not a list learner. It's not about being a list learner. If you're a list learner, forget this video. You just go straight to those lists and learn them. 4. Define the parameters. For flags, do those with symbols or groups of related flags, etc. Don't try and learn every combination of tricolor flags that are out there. 5. Put yourself in the shoes of a question writer. Then, for each item on the list, write 3 interesting questions, ideally that link to something else to give you a bit of context. So don't ask who won the FA Cup in 1985. Don't ask which king reigned in such and such a year. Those are dull things and they are not going to stick in your memory. But if you ask about the last king of England to lead troops into battle, now that is going to stick in your memory. If you can peg a date to it, then you will be able to recall all sorts of related facts. If you have a database or flashcards, then put them in and review them. Spot patterns and interrelationships, either write questions or mind map them, review them and test yourself. You are trying to learn here. Find the strategies that work for you. Different strategies will work for different peoples, whether it's writing questions, writing notes, mind mapping. The important thing here is you are finding some hook to learn this stuff. And when you think you have the list mastered, then either expand the scope or start a new list and you start all over again. And on screen now are some suggestions of lists of things that never change or rarely change that you could think about learning. The second tip is in a way related to the first one. It is understand the curriculum. Now, not all quizzes are the same. They each have their different quirks and their own quiz canon. And if you know the sort of topics that come up, you can then focus your learning and pick the things that never change that are relevant to the competitions you're playing in. So firstly, look to see if there's any information about question distribution for whatever competition you're playing in. The World Championships specify their 8 genres and the topics within them. The Quiz League of London has broadly 8 categories of question, and the Pop Culture Challenge has a public statement of how many music, computer games, or sports squads you can expect in each quiz. Don't waste your time on topics that aren't likely to come up in the quizzes you do. Past quizzes are your friends. You won't learn much from the odd quiz here and there, so get as much of a feel as you can for the topics that come up repeatedly. Look at past question sets and try to understand where you can best place your efforts. Don't gloss over the subjects you think you won't enjoy. We're playing the percentages here. You are looking for your quiz bread and butter. Let your learning be guided by what's asked about in the quizzes you play. And the third of our tips is embrace wrong answers. Treat every wrong answer as a learning opportunity, not a sign of failure. Because if a question has come up once, it's going to come up again. Annoying as it is to get something wrong, especially when you think you should know it, turn it into a positive. So after a quiz, review the questions you didn't know and do some root cause analysis. If you had no idea about an answer, that's fine. Just spend 5 to 10 minutes on Wikipedia or Google finding out about it, and perhaps write some questions or some notes that will help you get that knowledge about it into your head. Don't labour over it, don't take too long. Just come away feeling that some light's been shed on the subject. What if you confused the right answer with something else? Well, spend 5 minutes understanding why your answer was wrong and perhaps couldn't ever have been right. And again, if you have notes or a database or flashcards, however you organize your learning, add some questions or some notes about the correct answer and the wrong answer to help you to distinguish between the two. Sometimes you know the answer, but you can't just remember it on demand. So try and identify a contextual hook or a mnemonic to help you bring it to mind the next time it comes up. Now, perhaps the most frustrating way of missing an answer is to have it in your mind, but not have the confidence to make a guess. Grrr. In that case, try and understand whether your lack of confidence could be addressed by reinforcing the answer in your mind. But if it's simply a matter of learning the gameplay, don't beat yourself up about it. You will get better at those judgment calls over time. Now, all of this knowledge is going to fade over time, but if you build it into whatever process of learning you have, such as staged repetition, flashcards, question databases, chances are that you'll be able to get the question right next time it comes up. So there you are, 3 tips for improving your quizzing. Number 1, learn the things that never change. Number 2, understand the curriculum. And number 3, embrace wrong answers. Let us know in the comments below if you found these tips useful. And right now on screen, there are some links to other Quiz Academy videos that will help you to become a better quizzer.